Next up, I am happy to welcome up Genna Rosenberg to kick off our next conversation. Genna is CEO of GenCom, a global PR and marketing agency, chief ideator at Imagination, a think tank focused on licensing and connections in the consumer product space, executive producer at Upbeat Entertainment Group, an advisory board member in Women in Toys, Licensing and Entertainment, who you'll hear about again later, and a professor inspiring students into careers in the toy industry, especially with a social impact lens at the University of Maryland. And I know some of you are out there today. So Genna, thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Jackie. That was such a nice introduction. I appreciate it. So welcome, everyone. Who here went to the Build-A-Bear movie last night? I know some of my students went, right? Congratulations, Sharon, Bryce, John, for, on this exciting event that you debuted at Toy Fair. So welcome, everyone. That was an incredible panel where we heard from some really very established industry experts on their career journeys. I am so proud today to introduce you all to Jennifer Caveza, who is truly a legend. A legend having her own moment in the spotlight here. So Jennifer is a consumer products executive who's had an incredible career path, as you'll see. She's a creative business leader. She has an amazing sense for strategy and development of brands and products and opportunities for people within our industry. She's had a really interesting journey, and over her career in children's entertainment, she's managed world-renowned brands like a few I'm sure you know, some rock stars ranging from Hannah Montana, Taylor Swift, and JoJo Siwa, Disney Princess, SpongeBob, just to name a few. So she's held top executive management roles at some of the world's biggest and most known companies. She also worked as at a leading global advertising agency, and she now runs the toy program at Otis, an incredible innovative design institution. She most recently was Senior Vice President of licensed products at Viacom CBS and all of their iterations. And in this huge role, she was responsible for many great things for the company's brands like Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, and Paramount. So everything from Star Trek to Paw Patrol. In that role, she oversaw and identified new business opportunities that helped to grow CBS into Paramount and what they are today. One of her biggest accomplishments was bringing someone you may have heard of, a little star called JoJo Siwa. She found JoJo and brought JoJo to Nickelodeon, and as a buyer at Walmart told me, JoJo became a billion-dollar brand. The buyer at Walmart told me JoJo saved Christmas that very first year. Earlier, she held global marketing roles at several toy companies, including Mattel, Jakks Pacific, where we met, Gray Advertising, and where she handled the Hasbro Parker Brothers game account and worked on amazing games like Trivial Pursuit and so many others that you will know. She also serves on the board of directors for the Toy Association and currently serves at Women in Toys, Licensing and Entertainment. In addition, she has a lot of experience in the kids space herself. She has a passion for children's books. She got her baccalaureate from Penn State University, a master's in fine arts degree in creative writing, literature, and publishing at Emerson College, and is very passionate about the publishing industry. She spent several years teaching kids, picture book classes, children's literature courses at Otis, and now she's running the show. Jen emphasizes volunteerism in her life. She works every single week with her community church, teaching kindergartners about life and important skills that they need to know. And she has a beautiful daughter who just joined college herself, just like all of you, and her husband and lives in Los Angeles. So without further ado, Jennifer Caveza. We're going to have a chat.
Genna said it all. I'm done. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thank you for coming.
So Jen and I thought it would be fun to just have a warm welcome for all the colleges in the room. So can we, like when you hear your school, can we give a shout out to some students from TCNJ? Woo! FIT.
Oh, Otis College of Art and Design.
All right. We have a lot of students from University of Maryland. Woo-hoo, awesome. Tennessee Tech. NYU. NYU, Pratt, Tufts, Johns Hopkins, and everyone else. You can shout out your school. Woo! All right. Well,
Welcome, everyone. We're so happy you're here.
yeah, thanks, Jen. So you, from the first moment I met you, you always had incredible wisdom and advice, and I'm so happy for you to share that today. One of the things is you have a really unique perspective about career journeys. I mean, we've heard that from so many of the speakers today that, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm going to expand on some things some of the speakers said. I mean, PJ mentioned a long career. And it's hard for you to think about that now, but I think it's a really important one. I have some cards here just so I make sure I remember to say everything. But one of my theories is what I call the 45-year career theory. That seems like a long way away, right? And you're so young. But it really is helpful as you're looking for that first job. And, just be mindful that it is a long journey. And I thought it might be helpful for you to look at it that way. 45 years in 3 distinct stages, 15 years each, okay? So right now, you're in it's building, peaking, legacy. So the first 15 years are considered your building years. So you're approximately 20 to 35. Maybe some of you are younger, a little older, it's okay. It's not like black and white, but in your building years, you're exploring a variety of opportunities, you're learning your craft, you're building your skills, developing relationships. You're in the process of creating an important, solid foundation, one of which you will grow and thrive. And some of you are looking for work and you don't have that job, that's okay. Some of you may not get that great internship you wanted. You might not even find that perfect first job, but again, if you look at it, as a 15-year process, I think it helps you take a moment to relax, enjoy it, so it's part of your story. So that's the building years. Let's talk about the second 15. I know it seems a ways away, but that's when you're approximately 35 to 50. You've picked a path, you've found your stride. These are the exciting times. Your earning years, you're unstoppable, and you're at the top of your game. You're passionate, you're driven, and you're contributing at optimum peak performance level, right? Then we come to the third phase, which I call legacy, kind of 50 to 65. And, it's a time of self-reflection, where it's a time to give back. You've kind of done it all. It's, a moment to think about your reputation. You've proven yourself, you've supported yourself, you've had an incredible career for decades, and now you start thinking about the legacy you want to leave behind, and who are the people you want to work with, and what impact do you want to make, and what do you want to pass on. So anyway, I don't know if that's helpful to kind of break it down that way, but it's been helpful for me along the way to look at it in big chunks. So it's so exciting to have you all here in that first phase of your really long and meaningful career.
Yeah, and I think, you and I are both doing that in a way, right? I mean, we both spent 3 decades working in this industry and now are spending a lot of time giving back to students, sharing our knowledge, and working in universities and just trying to inspire the next generation of leaders, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, we always talk about relationships, and it's interesting. I heard recently, not to generalize in this room, but that sometimes young people or students are feeling like less inclined to network, and there's a bit of a negative connotation to it. But hopefully, one of the things that you guys are hearing, from everyone is that relationships really matter, right?
Yeah, I kind of call it planting seeds, and relationships are important. And I just want to use Genna and I as an example. We go back over 20 plus years. And the day I joined Jack's Pacific, I knew nobody. Genna reached out to welcome me and take me to lunch. And honestly, from that meeting forward, we've had a positive, mutually respectful relationship. She's been an incredible friend and colleague, and we've supported each other over the years. So we worked at Jack's for probably at least 6 years together. We ended up serving on the Women in Toys board together. We co-chaired the Wonder Woman dinner for nearly a decade together. We've been in business in a lot of different ways, and now we're both focused on social impact and higher education, and we're sitting here together today. So I just think, when you think about it, people say networking and relationships, what does that mean, Every person you meet is a seed planted, and it's a relationship to nurture, a connection that's going to blossom. And I think we can really all learn from Genna's good intention that day. On that my first day, she made a conscious, thoughtful choice and took the time out of her busy day to share a meal. And I know that seems like really small and insignificant, but it was very impactful to me, and it resulted in decades of wonderful support and friendship. And so I think the message I want to leave to you is to be kind in the workplace and to each other, whether it's your students or the people you're working with, but take the time. Don't always think about yourself. Your fellow students, faculty, guests, speakers at your university, everyone here today, there are opportunities to plant seeds. And so I think just remember to take the time and to show kindness. That's what I want to leave you with that.
Love that. Yeah, random acts of kindness can really change someone's life, and be brave and go talk to people. So I think that's another thing. Just like I didn't know Jen, and I just said, hey, let's connect and learn about each other. And it opens doors, right? There's so many opportunities to open doors and just be eyes wide open in this world. And that has worked out really well for you, right, along the way?
Yeah, well, Jenna's told you my whole career, but kind of funny how I got some of my jobs. I thought you might find this interesting. So going back, I wanted to be a writer. And my parents didn't really believe in writing children's books or the great American novel. They were very traditional folks. My mom went to Boston College. My dad went to Notre Dame. So I was trying to figure out how I can be a writer. So I ended up at Penn State in the School of Communications. I majored in advertising and English. I figured I'll be a copywriter. Do you all know what a copywriter is? Right? Okay, I'll be a copywriter. I'm going to find a way to write. So I graduate from Penn State, and how do I get my first job? I go, okay, I was very driven. I wanted to work at a top 10 agency. Do you still call it that? Biggest agency in the world. And back in the day, New York City was the hub of the advertising industry, Madison Avenue. So I said, I want to work at a top 10 agency in New York. So I'm standing on a street corner in Manhattan in my suit, holding my portfolio. No joke. This is how I got my first job. A guy comes up to me on a street corner smoking a cigarette. I'm standing there. He says, hey, you looking for a job? I said, yeah, I'm looking for a job. Come with me. I'll get you a job. And I said, brushing him off, no. I want to work in advertising. I'll get you a job in advertising. I'm like, I want top 10 agency. Come with me. If you come with me, I will get you a job at a top 10 agency. Guess what? I went with him. I don't recommend this, but I did. I went with him. So I follow him in my suit with my portfolio. He takes me to his office. Turns out he was...
Was he dressed like a,
He was dressed. He was a little shady. I don't know. No, he had a suit on.
To go with, or?
You can imagine the scene. So I walk with him to his office, and he takes me into his office. It turns out he was a recruiter. He was a headhunter. So he gives me a typing test. He... tests my administrative skills. No joke, 1 week later, I was at a top 10 agency in New York. Woo-hoo. So anyway, it worked out. I had to start as an admin, right? I literally commuted 3 hours a day, made $15,000 a year, nothing. Lived at home, but made it happen. But the funny thing is, I landed in the suit department. There were suits and creatives at Gray Advertising. Now, suits are account management. Creatives are the ones that write and produce and direct, and it was my vision of being a writer. But I landed in the suit department. But I figured that's okay. I'm going to make the most of it. I'll work on my portfolio, try to become a creative. Everyone was encouraging me to go work on the Procter and Gamble account because those were like the traditional, respectful consumer packaged goods. And I kept thinking, and everyone was saying, that's the way to go. That's where you're going to get the best training. But at the same time, we had just won the Hasbro Parker Brothers account. So I remember in my young mind thinking what I wanted to do. And I decided, do I want to spend my day marketing Crisco oil and Jif peanut butter? Or do I want to go work on Hasbro Parker Brothers games? So for me, as a creative person, I decided to go onto the Parker Brothers Games account and follow what was right for my heart. That's not to say for somebody in the room, Procter & Gamble's not the way to go. But for me, as a creative person who wanted to write, the idea of going to work on a games account was very exciting. So I get into the games business. My client at the time, his name was Larry Bernstein. He was the president of Parker Brothers. He was recruited to Mattel to start their games division. And he pulled me to LA. He recruited me just based on my work, and I had no desire to get into the toy and game industry, but I went with him. So I followed him. I went from advertising to
You
marketing.
have a little bit of a history of just following these
Well,
men.
I just
that-
follow
no,
men.
I'm
Oh, no. Well, I didn't follow him.
I'm just kidding.
He made me an offer, and as Sharon said, I made a choice. But
Yes,
I went
exactly.
from advertising to marketing. I went from an agency to a manufacturer. I moved from New York to LA. I mean, it was a really big move. But when you're young and single and, unattached, you can do those things. It was okay. So before I knew it, I was in Los Angeles at Mattel. I worked on many brands at Mattel. At one point in my career, I was offered an opportunity to go to Jack Pacific. After I had the big company experience, I thought, okay, I'm going to go to a smaller company. They had an Ocean View office in Malibu. Looked pretty good to me. So anyway, I left Mattel, went to Jack Pacific, and learned the licensing business. That's where I worked on brands like Cabbage Patch, and I met Genna and Hello Kitty and Disney and Nickelodeon. And the interesting thing is, at learning the Nickelodeon business is where they learned about me and my work ethic, and they ended up offering me a job as well. That's how I got into Nickelodeon. So I guess kind of the point I'm making is everyone's saying be open. I'm telling you how I was open, and also go up and above and people remember you, right? I have never had to interview for a job. I got plucked off the street, and every single job, dressed the part. I guess I dressed the part. But anyway, every single job was based on my work ethic and that I'm a pleasant person to work with, and I go up and above, and people remember, and it pays off. So anyway, that was my crazy career corporate journey.
Yeah, I think that's a really important concept too. Sometimes people are really focused on like what's the job description in terms of what they should do. Mm-hmm. But when you have these really inspiring roles, it's great to go above and beyond, don't you think? And really show how you can shine with your ideas. I think you're excellent at doing that everywhere you go.
Hence why now I ran the toy design program, go up and above. They've recently given me the product design program. So anyway.
That's right.
Yes,
That's a great
expanded
example of that.
just so you know.
Yeah. So, I think it's also having balance in your life, right? You have a beautiful family, and you've worked so hard in your career and had so many accomplishments, but along the way, you also had a life, and you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I like to say it's important to find a job and have a career, but it's more important to get a life. And I know when you're young and really driven, maybe this generation understands how to have balance in a life, but my generation didn't do the best job of it. We really workaholics, worked super hard, and I just think the balance is extremely important. You don't always focus on the manic pursuit of the next promotion and the next bigger paycheck and getting a house. It's really important just to have balance, because inevitably at some point in your career, the economy's going to struggle, your job's going to become redundant, companies are going to fold and merge, right? It's going to happen. And if you, even as you get older, at some point, no one told me, and I wish they did for you young people, ageism takes place. Maybe some of your parents have experienced it, I don't know, but you hit 50 and all of a sudden, ageism happens. Sometimes the rug gets pulled out from under you, experience layoffs. I've been laid off 3 times in my career. I'm still wildly successful. She's calling me like a legend, but I bounce back and it's okay. I'm just telling you it's going to happen. So I think be prepared emotionally for that day. Try to be prepared financially. Get a side hustle. Get a hobby you can monetize. Just enjoy your life outside of work. Really, it's really important. So like I said, I leave you with, get a job, but more importantly, get a life.
I love that, and I'm glad you brought up about the side hustle. There's this, we live in a gig economy where people can do multiple different things. You can be a multi-hyphenate. I love that term. And, you're working at Otis, but you're still thinking about your books that you want to write and developing products on the side. And, you're not doing just one thing or being,
Right.
Yeah. So what about working with purpose? How has that factored into your career?
Yeah, I think it's very important to use your platform to work with purpose. I'll give you a couple of examples over the years of how I've done that. When I worked on Cabbage Patch Kids, do you all know that brand? Okay, so great brand, these kids, you can't even call them dolls. Did you know you're not allowed to call them dolls? You have to call them kids. Anyway, that being said, while I worked on that brand, for instance, I developed celebrity kids. I did Barack Obama dolls, kids. We worked on them together and we auctioned them off to bring awareness to get young people to vote. Just as an example. Isn't that cool? Genna mentioned my introduction of JoJo Siwa to Nickelodeon. I mean, talk about an impactful, powerful brand. Her signature bows are symbolic, to be bold and proud of yourself. She was the spokesperson for anti-bullying. She was named one of Time Magazine's most influential people of 2022. She's an LGBTQ advocate. And working with her and being able to have a part in her journey was really meaningful to me. It's because of me that she launched her billion-dollar brand at Viacom, So I think there are ways along the way to work with purpose wherever you may be, right? And now I'm at the college. Yes, I run the toy and product design programs, but at this stage of my career, my legacy phase, not to age myself, but what am I leaving behind? What do I hope to pass on? At this point, it's not all about the products. My focus is more about the people. And my mission is to provide opportunities, to help make connections, to mentor young talent like yourselves, both giving career and life advice. It's important for me to bring important conversations into the classroom with my students that will build their character and impact their personal and professional journeys in a positive way, and also to help move our industry forward in a meaningful way, bringing important topics like sustainability and diversity in design. I have the opportunity now to bring a lot of important conversations into the classroom, and that's important to me. So wherever I've been in my career, I've used my platform for social good, and I think you all can do the same wherever you may be and whatever you decide to do.
I love that. It's all about collaborating, right, to make it happen and working together. One of my favorite stories about Jen is when I'm going to tell really quick, when she joined Women in Toys Licensing and Entertainment, which is an incredible organization. I guess you're going to hear more about it today. It's for women and men, but it's about advancing especially women in the workplace. She looked at the words women, WIT is the acronym. And she said, oh, WIT, we inspire together. I'm sure someone's thought of that before. And I don't think anyone actually had ever thought of that before. And it's it had so much meaning for me because I think that's how I approach life, that's how you approach life, and it's really an important way to, recognize how your connections, together you can really do incredible things.
It's funny you say that they pick up that tag. They now use that tagline, but it's again me and my passion, my love. I'm always trying to write and work with words from way back when, and so I came up with women in toys. Any opportunity I can to like copyright or use words or create a story, I do. And so there was another example.
And the organization had been around for 25 years, but
No one
Jennifer looked at it with a fresh set of eyes. And so you can find newness in things that people have been looking at and thinking about and embracing, whether that's brands, products, your roles within the industry. So I can't wait to see what you're all going to accomplish. And Jennifer, thank you for being so generous with sharing your wisdom and insights and career journey today.
Thank you. Well, does anyone have any do we have time for any questions? Yeah.
Woohoo!
Good morning.
Welcome.
I'm a proud papa bear to two baby bears who are constantly growing, learning, and developing at a rapid pace. As the next future toy innovator, my question is, how do we go about the thought process of creating the next toy that has the potential to not just bring joy, but can be life-changing as well?
Oh, toy designers in the room want to answer that?
No,
No.
I have an answer.
Jenna has an answer.
Well,
No, I'm kidding.
I think, one of the things that we talk about in my class is being on the lookout for trends and how those trends can really tie to social impact. And so if you look at things like mental health, we're having a mental health crisis in our country. People were very separated with the pandemic and very isolated, having a lot of different anxieties. So then you look at things that are going on in the toy industry, like several years ago, the fidget spinner was popular. That specific form factor may have gone out of fashion for a moment, but the need for fidget toys and self-soothing, calming toys that are going to bring people comfort exploded during the pandemic. And so I think if toys like Huggimals, which are weighted bears that, actually hug people back, or Aaron's Thinking Putty and other adaptive products really that are going to help have a mental health benefit to people. So I think that's just one example that you can look around what's going on in the world around you. How can we be more inclusive, from an age perspective, a gender perspective, ability, looking at products that are going to really help improve people's lives. If we can be intentional with that, with the product development, with the marketing, with the copywriting that we're doing, with the advertising, this is how we can, I think, everyone can elevate their game and really change the world through your work and play.
Do we just want to call anyone? Okay, you two. Go ahead. You and then you. Hi.
So my name's Daria. I'm from Appalachian State University. And in the beginning, you were talking about the 45-year plan and how there's 3 different stages. And the last stage is for self-reflection and the legacy you want to leave behind. And so, as somebody that's younger and still wants to have a very impactful legacy, what are some tips or some recommendations, I guess, that you would give to somebody that wants to make an impact early on, wants to help their community, wants to be somebody that, can make a change, make an impact?
Yeah.
Advice you would give
Well,
starting early?
Yeah, I think, you know what, I think you're bringing up a good point. You can make an impact from day one, right? And you are creating, I call it your brand. I don't know if that's a good word, but you are creating your story from today on, right? This moment forward. So you can self-reflect at every step of the way. I just think once you hit a point where you don't need the job, you've already proven yourself, that's the point where you can say, okay, now what do I want to do, right? You're maybe not at that stage right now. But I think, as I mentioned, as big or small, you can create a legacy and make an impact from day one of your career, right? Whether it's launching your own business or, I don't know, Jenna, if you have some suggestions, but I think, I don't want to mislead you that you have to wait till you're 50 years old to do it, right? So, but I do think just looking at the longer story just helps you kind of sit back and relax a bit. You got a bit of time to figure it out.
Definitely. And then along the way, volunteer, get involved. I was thinking recently about, is sustainability one of my things, right? Because I have been really interested in sustainability, but like along the way, I don't know if that's been one of the issues. And then I'm like, you know what? I started the environmental club at my high school. I brought the first recycling bins into Jack's Pacific and encouraged them to buy reusable water bottles so that people stopped bringing single-use plastic. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is actually one of my things. And then now, at this stage in my career, I can kind of be more bold about it and talk about some of those issues, that I know Jen's really passionate about with like packaging materials and.
Well, I have a student, one of our students at the college is asking us, which they should be, can you bring some sustainable, can companies donate sustainable materials that I can use to make our products? And I think it's a really great, valid request that we should be looking at. So I'm just saying, like, even as a student, they're already thinking about ways to make an impact and where they want to do. Anyway, it's nice to hear that you're thinking that way already. Yes? Did you have a question also?
My name is Jessica Hong, and I design and sell cookies, and I really care about branding in general. From your experience on working with Nickelodeon, Disney, all these great brands, how do you build a brand, and especially how do you connect that brand to your consumers? I feel like that's the most challenging part about branding.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times the first time you come out with a game before it becomes licensed, it's like a one-of-a-kind game, right? And these days, a lot of it's social media and getting like the word out there. And we're going to be starting something too. There are a lot of avenues for young people, inventors, and things like that you just need to kind of start pitching and getting it out there. Once you have a success with the non-branded game, then you can start seeking the licenses. It's a bit of a journey. As I said, it's not super easy, but with persistence, anything can be done. I just go back. I wish we had time for me to tell the JoJo story. I don't. But just as an example of building a brand, there were a year or more than a year of no's at Viacom with me. I saw an opportunity. I really believed in it. And I got so many no's. Why we wouldn't do it, why she didn't work, why the talent agent thought they couldn't work with her, why JoJo didn't make sense. I mean, it went on, and
That person no longer has a job. No.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
No, timing is everything,
and
right?
no just means you haven't found the right person. Like, just use that as just keep trying. If you believe in it, people are going to tell you no all along the way. And just believe in yourself and try to get that first thing started. Try to look for those competitions, those student opportunities. Everybody's looking to look for the new young talent, the new fresh ideas. Trust me, you're in a good spot. It's just a matter of finding them. Organizations like Toy Association, Women in Toys, they do advertise. You have to find the events, but they do try to help you. But network with people, and we'll try to help. We'll try to help.
And I'll just quickly add, I think, try to come up with a great name. And then search the name, and then try to get the socials for that if you're building a brand. Because sometimes you'll find with a quick search, it's already taken.
Think as if you're going to build a brand. I like to use do you anyone know Bed and Bath? Do you know this? Okay. Well, eventually it became Bed Bath & Beyond. They limited themselves with a name from the very beginning. So just think big, okay? Think you're going to create a brand. And so I think Jenna's point about a name is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Priya from Baruch College.
Hi.
I had a question of, kind of going back to your 45-year career plan.
Yeah.
So how do you accommodate career pivots, or I wouldn't say like accommodate, but maybe accommodate or sort of work around career pivots? What stage would you recommend, not recommend?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I hope you aren't thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm 35 and now I have to move to the next phase. No, I'm just trying to give you like guidance, because you're right. We've all had to pivot, right? We've all had to pivot. I've pivoted within the industry, but I didn't know there was like the different avenues of pivoting, right? And I pivoted from corporate to higher education. Right? It just kind of happened along the way, but that was a big pivot. I think you can do it all along the way. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
Multi-hyphenate, as you said.
Most people in this industry have had a very nonlinear career path. And, one of the things I like to talk about is whatever your skills are, you can do that in an industry that you feel passionate about. And so it might start out in toys or not in toys, and you can go do something completely different. You own your life. You own it. And so, you know, you might think you might be studying a certain subject, but that's not what you have to necessarily do. You can think of a million different ways that you can use those skills in an industry, in a job that's going to light you up. And I think that's something different than, you know, maybe when our parents grew up and they just like had to get a job. I think now we understand that if you want to enjoy your life, you can find something that really lights you up, and something that, how can you use the thing that you're good at and then find a job doing that? That's how you really have a vocation where your work meets your, like, what you're meant to do.
Genna mentioned writing. I love writing children's book. I read a screenplay. I haven't published anything, but it's my hobby.
Yet?
I'm a huge animal advocate. You have no idea. Everyone knows, right? Blaze, I have a little puppy. But, you know, I'm a kitten foster. And now, as an example, I've brought an opportunity at Otis where we're going to be working with Annenberg Pet Space to develop pet products for them. So I'm just telling you, like, you pivot, you do hobbies, you find ways to incorporate into what you're doing. It's like you cannot plan your career. You just can't, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take you in a lot of playful, unexpected ways.
That's right. So, well, thank you. Oh,
Okay.
well,
One more, and then we got to go. She's like, we got to go. There's people waiting outside.
all right, last one.
Hey there, my name is Kyle. I'm a historian and researcher from the University of Maryland.
Awesome.
As an historian, I wanted to ask, what's the best way to leverage my experience in the historical field in order to kind of create more toys that bridge the gap between historical education and entertainment?
Do you want me to?
That's a long, no, go ahead.
I'll just say I recently had my students at Maryland write about change makers, and they came up with the most amazing examples, and one of them was Lincoln Logs. And I guess Lincoln, I don't have all the details, but I guess Lincoln Logs was created, I wish I remembered the name of the creator, by someone who wanted to create a toy based on the history of the time of Abraham Lincoln. And like brought in all these really, and I think, you know, you see that a lot in the game space, in the doll space. If you can capture a moment of time and you can actually teach through your toys, through packaging, through backstories for characters, it could be really magical to, you could create a whole, you know, kids property based on the historical time and add a cool flair to it. There's a big mega trend about combining things that are old and new. That's one of my favorite mega trends. And I think that that's really a promising opportunity. So good luck with that. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Toy Association and Jackie. Appreciate it.
Thank you both so much. Thank you.